Hello everyone, I am Jyotsna and today we will read first chapter from class 6 biology book, and the chapter is the leaf. The leaf. I am sure the moment you hear this word, you imagine green leaves in front of you. Well, we see that we have leaves in trees and plants all around us. So why are they so important that we have to study in detail about them? Because they are an important part of a plant. They not only help in making food, but they also help in other things. In this chapter, we are going to learn about various topics beginning from the structure and function of a leaf, moving on to modification in leaves, and ending the chapter with vegetative propagation. And of course, in the course of this video and other videos to follow, we would also discuss certain activities or investigations so that you all can understand by experimenting or by demonstrating certain things the topics that are going to be explained in this poem. Let's begin with the first topic, that is structure and function of a leaf. I'm sure you all can see a picture of a leaf just there in the screen, and it has all the parts as well. So if we begin, we see that leaves are flattened green surface and they arise from a stem or a branch. They vary in shape and size. And an interesting fact is that sometimes they even vary in color, but we will get back to it later. If we focus on the parts of a leaf, we see that we have something called as petiole, which is this. This is a small stalk which helps in attachment of the leaf to the stem. Followed by, we have the blade, the leaf blade or the lamina. This is a flat green surface or part. We also have leaf base, which is the region of attachment of the leaf, followed by venation. What is venation? It is arrangement of veins, the way they are moving here. If you can see in the picture, this is called as venation. And the green color, which is so very common in all the leaves, is imparted by a pigment called as chlorophyll. I'm sure you must have already heard this term because it is essential for photosynthesis. We'll come to it in the next slide. Returning to the fun fact that I told you, that there are certain leaves which are not green completely, they have certain patches of white, yellow or even red. These leaves are called as variegated leaves, and common example of these leaves is money plant, which many of us really have in our houses also, followed by other examples which are sage and chrysanthemum. So these are the examples of variegated leaf. Now let's move on to function of a leaf. What do they do that they are so important? So we see that the first and foremost function of a leaf is to manufacture food. And how do they do that? Well, they do it through photosynthesis. As I had told you, photosynthesis is a process in which a green leaf makes food for the plant. It requires water that the roots of a plant take in or absorb from the soil, sunlight, the green color, chlorophyll and carbon dioxide. When this happens, certain chemical reactions take place and food is produced for a plant for its good growth, for its healthy growth, and one of the byproducts is oxygen. oxygen that all the living creatures need for their survival. That is why we see that manufacturing food is one of the most important functions that a leaf performs. And now second is the leaves help in taking in certain gases and giving out certain gases in various processes like transpiration or respiration. Now, how do they do that? Well, I'll show you that if you look at a leaf's underside, so I'm drawing a picture here which depicts an underside of the leaf. You would notice that when you have these veins running across, you also see tiny dots everywhere, and these tiny dots are nothing but stomata. They cover the entire portion of the leaf. So as I said that these tiny pores are called as stomata. These pores, they open up during the day and they close during the night. So through the opening of these pores, gases can be released or taken in as well. One common example is how the leaves take in carbon dioxide, use it for photosynthesis, and give out oxygen as a byproduct, which then is taken in or inhaled by various living organisms for their survival on planet Earth. In the same way, we have another important process which takes place in the leaves, and that process is transpiration. Transpiration is a process in which the water that the roots take in or absorb from the soil, the excess part of it is released in the form of water vapors. That process is called as transpiration. That means giving out excessive amount of water in water vapor form. And last function is that many a times there are modifications in leaves, and they are modified in certain manner or in such a way that the plants can adapt themselves to their surrounding and can flourish. They can then grow in a healthy manner as per the circumstances. Just the way when we humans come across difficult circumstances, we adapt ourselves. Plants naturally are blessed with these modifications. We notice that certain plants, they have spines in place of leaves so that it helps in reduction of water intake. Reduction of water that goes out in the form of transpiration. Then there are certain plants which also have little tendrils which are like a thin coiled thread-like structure, and these structures, they help in climbing the plants. So these kind of plants are called as climbers. And sometimes the plants are designed in such a manner, they have evolved in such a manner that they are insectivorous. They can trap insects to get energy and hence live off on those plants. After the functions of leaf, we can also try to demonstrate or conduct certain experiments on our own to check what we've discussed. So if we come to investigation 1, it is to demonstrate that air comes out through stomata. As I told you that stomata are tiny pores which are on the underside of the leaf, and they open up during the day, they close during the night. They help in release or taking in of gases. So how will you check that for yourself? Well, it's very easy. I suggest you pluck a leaf of a recently watered potted plant and put it in a vessel with boiling water. You would notice that the moment you dip the leaf in boiling water, there will be tiny air bubbles which will come out, indicating that stomatal opening takes place and that through that opening air comes out. So that is first investigation wherein we have checked that air comes out through stomata. Now let's move on to second investigation, which is to check that water does indeed come out or is given off during the process of transpiration. We have a picture here for this experiment. For this experiment, you would require a recently watered potted plant and a plastic bag. I suggest that you keep the plant on one place and cover it with a plastic bag, tying it here at the end, it is tied here, and notice after some time that tiny water droplets will have come onto the surface, showing that water is indeed given off during transpiration. Well, this is how we check the process of transpiration, and with these two investigations we also come to an end of this video where we have discussed, learnt and seen through pictures the structure of a leaf as well as certain as well as functions of a leaf. We discussed how leaves not only help in manufacturing food, they also help in exchange of gases required for various processes, followed by transpiration and modifications which help adapt plants to their surroundings. In this section, we will discuss about leaves. We will discuss the various types of leaves we have, and we will also look at their pictures in order to be able to understand them, followed by venation in leaf, that is venation and phyllotaxy. So let's begin with types of leaves. Because it is standard 6, we cannot go into many details. So we've basically come down to only two types. First is simple and second is compound. You would notice that even in the screen, the information is written in a tabular form. Well, when you have these kinds of information or these kind of topics to cover, it's always a good idea to have them in this form because it makes it easy for a person to not just understand but also to remember and retain them for a longer period of time. And in this tabular form, you can always divide the rows in various parts of how you compare two things and you come to a conclusion. It's also a very good idea to end this discussion with certain examples. So let's begin. We first begin with simple leaf. Simple leaf, as the very name suggests, has a single lamina. That means it is a continuous single lamina, whereas in a compound leaf, lamina is cut into small leaflets, but they are on a common stalk. So that's the only difference, followed by the fact that a simple leaf has an auxiliary bud, whereas in compound leaves, there are no auxiliary buds in the leaflets. But if a stalk has an auxiliary bud, it is called as rachis. Certain examples of these kinds of leaves are, under the simple one, we have mango, black cherry, guava and cotton. For compound leaves, the examples are rose, neem, buckeye and shame plant. Now, when we look at a picture, it is easier for us to see that in the simple leaf, our lamina is a single lamina, whereas in the compound leaf, because we have small leaflets On a common stalk, we see that the lamina is cut into smaller part. So that's the essential difference between simple leaves and compound leaves. Now we come on to another subtopic, that is venation. When we were discussing about the structure of the leaf, we did mention venation, that is how the veins in a leaf are arranged. And you might be wondering what veins are. Let's go back to the previous slide to the picture. If you focus at simple leaves, you see how these lines or these veins are moving across in a leaf, and then they're further divided. Because the picture is not HD quality, we cannot see those fine lines, but I am making them here so that you all can understand easily. So this is what the veins are, and the arrangement of these veins is called as venation. Now under this as well, we have two kinds of venation. We talk about reticulate and parallel. Reticulate, here the lamina is repeatedly divided in such a manner that it seems to form a network, just the way I just depicted in the picture that I showed. Whereas in the parallel one, we see that lamina runs parallel to each other from the base to the top of the leaf. Reticulate venation happens in dicotyledonous plants, whereas parallel venation takes place in monocotyledonous plants. Certain examples of reticulate venation are mango, hibiscus, ficus, and guava, whereas for parallel venation we have banana, wheat, palm, grass, and maize. We of course have many more examples. I request you and suggest that you do look them up for your information and understand these in a better way. Now, science is one such subject where just theoretical part will not help. So for that, I have included various pictures. So let's look at a picture which depicts clearly venation of both the kinds that we just discussed. If we look at these pictures, we see that in reticulate venation, the veins are in such a manner that they seem to have formed a network as we discussed. And in parallel, if you look at the picture closely, you would notice that these veins run in such a manner that they are parallel to one another, and this happens from the base to the tip or the top part of the leaf. Let's have third investigation under this topic, that is to observe the venation in leaves. What we do here is we take two leaves, or let's just take one leaf and soak it in water. After a while, you try to remove the chlorophyll or the green pigment. With your hands, you rub it off and try doing this thrice till the time you have a clear leaf or a colorless leaf with you. You would notice structures like the ones which are shown in the picture here. So if you take a leaf which has reticulate venation, you would see veins going on in this manner as if they are forming a network, whereas in parallel one, they seem to be parallel to one another, or sometimes you could even have venation horizontally or vertically. It varies. Now let's move on to another topic, that is arrangement of leaves. There is a specific term for this, and that is phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy is arrangement of leaves on a stem. The entire purpose for plants is to be able to manufacture food for themselves, and that is why the leaves are green in color because chlorophyll helps in photosynthesis. So the leaves are always arranged in such a manner that maximum sunlight is given, or the leaves are exposed to maximum sunlight and air. Under this, we have three kinds of arrangements along with picture to substitute the theoretical part. We begin with alternate, opposite, followed by world. In an alternate arrangement of leaves, we see that the leaves grow alternatively on opposite sides of a stem. Whereas in opposite, as the word suggests, they grow at the same point only in opposite direction. We see that the common origin of point is same and they grow in opposite direction, followed by whorled, that means a circular arrangement. We have more than one leaf and they arrange in a circle or a whorl at the common origin. Here we see that they originate from here, here, and they seem to have formed a circular arrangement. So the examples for alternate are mango and sunflower. For opposite arrangement of leaves, we have guava and calotropis. Followed by whorl arrangement, we have oleander and asparagus. And with this, we come to an end of this particular video, wherein we discussed about arrangement of leaves, venation, and types of leaves. Under types of leaves, we covered simple leaves and compound leaves, followed by reticulate and parallel venation, and last not the least, arrangement of leaves, that is alternate, opposite, and whorled. In the next section, we will discuss about modification of leaves. Thank you.